your skin, under 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 your skin. Under your skin, 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 under your skin,
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, Mr. PH. Hello, Venus, Tim, Vomag, Mattis, Onyx Pawn. You don't have to call me Phonamide anymore, Tim. I think we're finished with that. And now I can reveal to you that that username is actually Taimanov backwards. Big secret. People have been wondering for a while. The big reveal. The big 5 subs as well from Deep Dive 1. Thanks for the kick Cinco there, Deep Dive. I'm hoping to do a deep dive myself into some openings today. Tim, we might have to give the old, Westerainen a go. That didn't look bad. Azizi got a sub there. I think I saw Salty earlier. How's it going, Big J? ZX9R. Hello as well. I think we're gonna go for Elke Klein. Let's go for his classic mix
All you
night
LA
set.
guys gotta be there.
Yeah, LA guys gotta be there. So remind me again, Tim. Is it already called that as soon as you go b3, or are there more moves that characterize it? Is it like this? Looks like this already gets the name. Yeah. So as soon as you play b3, you're already doing it. So this, also some kind of semi-Slav. Start with e6, then, d5, e6, and then c6. If I remember the last time we did one of those, Tim, the game just lent itself so well to a Stonewall that we ended up doing a Stonewall. You like b3 against the French? So how does that work, Fish? Move 2 or after that? Like this? d5, and how do people play this? You just leave the pawn there or something? Like you go bishop here? Pretty sure I've seen this before. Yeah. But do you gambit it like fully with f3? No, right? Like you try to win it back now? So here, and then what? Queen d4 long castle? Something like this. Makes sense. Yeah, we can give some of this a try. We can give her a try. Hey, Duke Nukem. Hey, Ant. What's up, buddy? Yeah, you want them to take, right? Makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna play a few slow games this afternoon. I think you let them take you, Tim. I'm pretty sure about that. But I also don't play that opening myself. So I don't know too much about these b3 sidelines. But I know the general philosophy is like you want them to take. I think it's the Sicilian one where you want to take on d5 the way that you had in your game. Yeah, we started by looking at b3 against the Sicilian. So let's see, maybe we'll just get the black pieces to start off, but if we get white, we can try to get one of those openings. So we're gonna jump into a rapid game here. 15 minutes, 10-second increment, slow chess, and yeah, we're 1765. So I mean, the rapid pool doesn't really have a ton of players at like 2,300. So it's getting to be already a very small player base. Let go. All right, d4. So we'll hit him with d5, and oh, would you look at this? Is this gonna be where I have to now tell everyone how to beat the Stonewall? No, this isn't. This is not my favorite part. Well, it'll be no surprise to you that controlling the e4 square, which cannot be controlled by white, is absolutely the main idea. Now you can play this with c5 or even c6. I think for the moment, don't really need to do either. Let me think about how we want to put our pieces. Of course, knight f6 is really obvious, but I'm thinking about this knight. It's usually really bad to put it on c6 because you're just like white plays c3 and you don't feel like your knight is doing anything there. So personally, I never liked the knight on c6, so I like to put it on d7. You could make a case that this knight could develop some weird way, but for the most part, this would be a very easy development scheme. So I'm gonna play knight f6, see how he wants to develop. He goes c3, definitely means that c5 is a little more tempting. Yeah, c6 is good here, but I would say c5 does a little bit more. Bishop b5 check. Even knight d7 there, we could play anyway. I'll definitely go a little bit more aggressive with c5, having seen c3. Okay, so this bishop never wants to give itself up for the knight. If I go knight c6, knight e5, queen b6, queen a4, rook c8, I do defend everything and I can play a6 next turn, so stuff like that I think isn't a problem. But I can also go knight d7 if I want, and just a6 next. Knight c6 is good. I'll probably go knight d7. Just looks easier to manage, and we also don't get double pawns. So there's not really much of a threat here. Time to repel this bishop. Bishop for knight, that's the trade I want. Okay, bishop a4. Obviously, b5 is going to be it's going to be fairly tempting. We could also ignore and go here. b5, bishop c2. I was thinking of knight e4. White can castle. Bishop d6 and castle also. I might be able to save myself the b5 move. Put it this way, I feel that once I castle, this bishop on that square might be kind of useless. So I'm not sure that I want to be rushing to bring it back into the game, so to speak. I'm not sure that the bishop's that great here. My main question is bishop e7 or bishop d6. Yeah, bishop e4 castles is what I would call in stride for white. Doesn't even break a sweat, makes a normal move, and I would say our bishop is poorly placed for white's knights to develop with tempo. So I'm really only thinking about this, and then maybe one of these two moves to castle. The upside to bishop e7 is that when I castle, I could be threatening to take. Bishop d6, the upside is obvious. It's just a better square. Just a better square. But if my bishop's here, I can never really bring my knight in without playing b5. So I'm probably going to end up playing b5 anyway, which is not the end of the world. Okay, castles. I think I'll castle. Again, I can play b5, but that's the thing about b5. I can always play it. So that's why I don't feel like I'm in a particular rush here. Let's think here. Almost want to play h5 as well. Feel like stopping g4. We are facing a Stonewall, yeah, with a very strange development pattern from white. Because normally you'd want that bishop probably on d3, but he's kind of beating around the bush here. I don't think h5 is bad at all now that I'm looking at it. Basically, what do I want to do in the middle game here? If I play h5, okay, castling feels slightly more suspicious. One idea is to do something like this, and then try to get the pawn to b5, so that taking will force that, but I think he's probably going to take that way anyway. So I think I will play h5 to temper the move g4. Again, I always have this move, so I'm not really in a big rush. When this knight gets to f3, all I'm seeing is that he gives me the e4 square. So that's also why I haven't been too worried about that. One of these two moves followed by b5 looks pretty good. Only assume this knight's making its way to f3. So if we castle, technically we lose this pawn, so we're not really in a rush to do that without playing d5. I do kind of like these moves. I could go for rook c8 here. b5, b4. Yeah, think about b4. I don't really like it. My king's still in the middle. Let's not forget that. Okay, rook c8. I'm eyeballing this square. It's a good square to be on. He goes h3. He wants to play g4. I don't even know if it's good. For white here, I would assume that it's almost could even be like losing on the spot or something. But nevertheless, the move h4 becomes incredibly tempting. But yeah, now b5 makes more sense. Takes, forces that recapture. But I do like h4 as a move. I think we're going to be going for e5 now that c6 is under control. My rook's on the c file. I like h4. I think I'll probably be taking that. So takes, queen b6. Actually threatens e5. Actually threatens e5. And it threatens queen takes d4. It's kind of difficult for my opponent to deal with, to be quite honest. Might do that. Takes. Takes, queen b6. Then it looks like this move is essentially forced. Knight e4. Takes, and I'm kind of loving my knight on e4 there. Let's do it. I also have b4 in the future. So I would definitely expect this, just because there's two threats. Now I was gonna do this: knight takes, king takes, and I like my knight. I like my knight. Let's do it. Thing about the Stonewall is, if I ever do something like this, even though it looks like my pawns are worse than his, because this pawn is doing pretty much nothing. The one difference is, if I ever decide to take his knight and he ends up with a pawn there, then it's not a pass pawn. If he ever like takes me with knight d2 and I go f5 and he takes me, that's a protected pass pawn that just motors down the board. So some nice advantages there. We have the option to play f6. We could also play f5. We can play knight f6 to support that guy. But I do think it's time to remove this guy. f6, knight g6, the rook is hit, rook h6, f5, you know, it's a little messy there. A little bit messy. I don't really want to play g6, but it's definitely a safe move. Right now, if he plays knight g5, might be able to win a pawn here. Hey, crocodile. Kind of does look like the Stonewall series, I think. At least it should. It should. I think we have to be careful of f6, but I really want to play the move. So now I'm thinking how can we get to play it, basically. Yep, I don't think we can do it. I think I'm just gonna go for f5. I mean, it's a good move. Little annoying about this square, but I think f5 is the vibe. The thing about f5 is previously taking here, f takes, looks unfortunate because you open up the rook, but now with my pawn in front, let's say I take, which I'm about to, then pawn takes back. And just look at the difference if my pawn was on f7 or f5. Like, f5 is quite strong. My knight is quite strong. I would say the move g5 really stands out here. I can almost like permanently switch to that side of the board. There is going to be counterplay on the way with a4. Don't really, there's not really an answer to that. Like, it's going to happen, but I'm just going to go ahead thinking that I'm faster over here. And very happy to take that in the middle. Even though I was giving up my good bishop there, the resulting position is a lot of dark square pawns and a lot of dark square bishop. So I'm not sure how the attack will continue here. If I play g4, maybe h4 will happen, I don't know. I could then decide to play h4 first, rook here, and then g4. That's a guaranteed way to get a nice attack, but I don't know if that breaks through quick enough, you know? Okay, a3, as you guys might be able to imagine, is an insanely good move for us to see. It's not because a3 like does something or doesn't do something, it's that I'm looking at a4 as the main source of counterplay. So if I see a3, the likelihood of a4 is much lower. g4, h4, g3, there's bishop f4, rook f3. Yeah, but that doesn't look like enough. There's also takes in bishop f4, but we get the whole h-file there. Regardless, it does look like this rook belongs there. I could potentially use this one, but I guess I just don't really see why. The other way for me to play, and honestly might be just a simpler move, is queen c6. Because then I want to play queen c4, I also stop a4, I stop b3. This is more of a, it's more of a sure thing. So I would say this is a nice way to play full attack, but I consider this to be a bit of a better move. Queen c4, if I trade the queens, especially on that square, then I can break through on the king side. I also have pressure on the queen side. I think it's tough for white to deal with. So yeah, I do want to attack, but truthfully, if I go and attack and he just makes nothing moves like this, I'll crush. Like, it'll be over in 10 moves for black. But if I'm truly expecting, like, you know, the best moves from my opponent, then I'm a little more nervous about counterattack with a4, for example. So much as the knight against bishop might suggest, you will often do well to operate on the opposite color of the opponent's bishop. So here, a lot of dark square pawns, dark square bishop. It just means that my queen on a dark square, yeah, it's good, but queen on a light square is often better. So I think I'll be able to achieve queen c4 no matter what. This doesn't look like it really changes anything. The knight is like insanely strong, supported by 2 pawns. Bishop can never touch it. It's not like white can advance pawns over here because that's not really how it works. Can't do that in front of your own king. Queen c4 is looking very, very good right now. Takes, and if white's playing well, they'll probably play rook here. So that after rook here, the bishop can at least go back and defend. But the resulting position is me playing with 3 pawns against 2 and a knight, and my opponent barely using the pieces. So I am going to go here. I think it's almost forced to take. Maybe you could do this, but I think that's an instant regret kind of move. Just to be clear, I think this move is good as well. Bringing the king to the middle. But I would still say that this one makes the most sense. There's no counterplay for white now because the move b3 is simply never going to happen. And over here, I'm basically going to go f4, like maybe even bring my king all the way here. And in the event of an endgame, don't forget about me, right? I could just be walking right on in. The only real weakness I have in my position is right here. Like, that pawn falls, then other things start to fall as a chain reaction. But look at this. The bishop is stuck defending this pawn, which means the rook can't get out. You know? So it probably makes sense to put the rook on b8, where it'll just sort of sit there and hit the pawn, be annoying. And then on this side of the board, I think I'm leaning towards one of these moves and then pushing g4. But I don't think I need to make that decision just yet. So I'll put the rook here, hit the pawn. This will tie the bishop down. If rook b1, for example, then knight takes c3 will already be winning, which would honestly be a shame to win that easily. My king, it either needs to join the king side or the queen side fully. I think after king c6, king b5, white will play a4, so I don't think I'm going to get all the way in here. But if I could, you know, getting my king there is actually not the craziest idea. Black's just putting white under pressure here. Bishop can barely move. Okay, g4 is like probably just losing on the spot. I mean, this is kind of what I was saying earlier, is that white doesn't really have a single pawn to move. And you'll remember I said something to the effect of, and although white can move these pawns here, that's not really what you do. You just don't do that. And this is an example of why you just don't do that. So I'll be less inclined to open up the rook, and I'll be more inclined to open up my rook. So you'll notice that the way that I'm about to capture here is going to facilitate that. Move f4 is like a very, very good move. The bishop would be completely trapped, and I would just play rook h4 and rook h8. And I think the game would just end, honestly. Like, it just looks over. But we happen to have an even nicer move, rook h4, because if pawn takes, I'm going to give rook g4 check, and the king is not going to be able to go this way, and I'm just going to checkmate my opponent next turn. So the game is going to end immediately, but it would have been a very slow and painful death here. Absolutely zero moves, like every single piece tied up. I don't think that white was ever gonna stand a chance. Good game. Yeah, maiden one is coming. But it's like, what do you recommend for white here? You know? He's not down a... I mean, this will put it in perspective. He's not down a single pawn, right? Not even down a point of material. But it's almost like -4. It's as if I have an extra pawn and an extra piece. That's how bad white's position is. Long term, as I said, I have like an idea to bring my king in. But basically black is just going to win this game slowly. If we trade all the rooks, the game ends immediately because I just do this. There's nothing white can do to stop it. And I even have 3 against 2. Where's white's extra pawn? Well, it's actually right here, right? It's on b2. The rook is trapped, the bishop can't move. None of white's pieces can do anything. So I'm not sure about the game in general, but I can say that this game was all about the light squares. And we knew it would be as soon as we saw the Stonewall. Takes, we went for queen b6, and then put the knight on e4. I think that's a fun way to play. This bishop's just so bad the entire game, and you don't really play the Stonewall like this, and then play bishop b5, because you're not really trying to give that piece up. You're actually trying to keep it most of the time. So f5, I don't think was the best move, but I liked it. I was a fan. I just don't see what white is going to do counterplay-wise here. Like knight g6 is being suggested, but I don't really see the problem with knight g6. Essentially, I was going to follow up with rook h6. Not sure where the knight's going. Knight to h4, but we can always kick these pieces out with knight f8 or king f7. Black's position just looks really solid. And yes, pat me on the back, because I think the engine had knight g6 at like almost +1 or something. It's like, relax, buddy, relax. Now it's rethinking things. It's just not a dangerous position for black. The knight is so strong on e4, cannot be evicted. Black's about to take on e5. Like, if he didn't take me, I'm about to take him. There's only one piece of counterplay for black, and it's a4. Or sorry, for white, and it's a4. That's really it. Other than a4, white's not really doing anything this game. Yeah, and I believe it's important to play this move. Because if I don't play this move, then I have a feeling white plays h4. Okay, maybe it's not a big problem, but I wanted to make sure that I played g5 while I could, and then go from there. This is also nice, so if bishop e3, I can play f4. Yeah, and once the queen gets into c4, it's like, it's approaching really, really bad, which is why you'll see the engine start to suggest a4, because it's like, all right, guys, mayday, like, we need to play a4 immediately, or we're never playing that move ever. But the engine will start to just absolutely detest white's position here. It's just hopeless. It's just hopeless, and the more the engine sits there and thinks about it, the more it's like, no, I'm out. I don't want to play this. Yeah, g4, as I mentioned, because of this and rook h4, it's really bad. But instead of rook h4, I was saying, like, you know, even pawn to f4 is like still so nasty. Pawn to f4 is like, you can't move this bishop at all, you can't move the rook at all, so you're playing down pieces. This will also be a very slow death as well. But yeah, rook h4 is just quick and easy. GG. Yeah, I missed Rook H3 there, last move. As you can see, I'm a noob. Why couldn't they push their A pawn? Well, they probably had one chance to do it, one move, right after I played G5. But the answer to your question is that they should have. But sometimes you can justify a plan simply based on the fact that if you don't do it, you will have no plan. That's the logic for my opponent playing A4. Even though the calculation for A4 wasn't always perfect, it was like, if you don't play it now, you're gonna play it never. And if you don't play it ever, you're gonna have zero plans. Because none of your other pawns can move. None of your other pieces can do anything. The position's all locked up. So if you can't get A4 and get an open line for your rooks, it's pretty hopeless. I did, Ahmed. There'll be more videos from that, but we just put a little bit of it in the vlog. Yeah, I should link him to the Stonewall series. That's a good point. Well, now we might get the white pieces, so let's jump into another one. Maybe we can practice some of the openings we were just looking at before as we started the stream. The contrary. Well, everything we looked at started with E4, C5, Knight F3, and I mean, I guess you can play B3 here. There's not, it's definitely not the exact same. Obviously, it works, I think, best against E6, but I suppose you can play it now. I'm trying to think what other lines there are against Knight C6. Not too sure if B3 is a serious move here. Smith Mora, yeah, we've played that opening a lot actually. Can always play D4. King's Indian attack might be remotely interesting. I'll stick to our guns though. We'll see how B3 works out here. Yeah, because who knows, maybe he wants to play E6 and we kind of transpose. Knight here. I think the point is that you want to play E5. But I'm not, again, I'm not too familiar with this stuff. Knight C3 doesn't feel right. Speaking of doesn't feel right, that doesn't feel right. Let's go Bishop B2. And I think after Queen C7, I can play Queen E2. Ooh, E6 is, I don't know, it's not a good sign because it means that this knight just has to go back to H6. H3 is very tempting here. The other move I can do instead of H3 is Bishop B5 to simply capture on C6. The nice thing is that D6 is kind of hard to achieve now because this pawn is loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play H3 force the knight to go back. And I'm gonna play bishop d3. Strange looking move, but I'm trying to play against this knight a little bit. Ooh, g6. Some moves that I have not been expecting. The reason I didn't expect this is because now I'm just looking at that square. That's it. I'm just looking at this square. So like knight c3, knight e4, boom. Also knight a3, knight c4. We're getting right on in there. So knight to c4 is nice because it defends the pawn and gets in there. Knight e4 is nice because it threatens this and threatens c5. Yeah, I don't think d6 is really an option with this bishop here. That's all. As tempting as this is, I think he will go here and get castle. So I'm feeling like knight e4 is the option that just kind of hurts a little bit more. Oh my goodness, not a6. My opponent has to be in trouble here. a6 is so slow. Look at all these dark squares as a result. This is frightening. So knight e4, bishop e7 is like basically mandatory because you have to defend both of these squares, and I don't know how you do it. So yeah, knight e4. I mean, this move is pretty much required, I think. That's not to say I can't still go there, but yeah, look, you have to do this. You could go knight g8, but position is getting more depressing by the move. G4 here is almost certainly going to be my favorite move. It just makes this knight 100% useless. Once the knight gets here, it can kind of relocate. And knight b4, we can just always go back. So I know it looks totally wrong, but if you want to know what looks totally wrong, why don't you take a look at my opponent's position. b5 looks like a fantastic move, but b6, I gotta give a lot of credit because I think it could actually be better. I was thinking b5 runs into a4, which is a little bit, yeah, it didn't actually look so good. So Queen e2, of course. Can't really go wrong with that. I'm definitely gonna start looking at these kind of moves. Yeah, Queen e2 looks very hard to say no to. So knight d6, I suppose you could move the king, to be honest, but knight d6 takes, the rook is hit, and if you move the rook, then g5 and bishop f6 actually traps the queen. And if f6, g5, knight g8 becomes forced. Just the amount of forcing moves that we have in this line is kind of addicting. Takes, knight takes. I mean, you've got, I feel like the position is so shaky there for black. I'm probably gonna go for something like that. Just looks, it looks to be the vibe. By the way, after takes, you can castle, no doubt about it. But g5, knight f5, bishop f6, queen e8. I have to have trouble believing that position. I have to. So let's just see what happens after knight d6. I'll do it. JC Digital Girl, thank you very much for the $15. Lesson fees. This is supposed to be free. My opponent said, interesting opening. We've both attacked so hard that it's created a lot of, shall we say, issues. Lol. He's not wrong. But how are him and I getting lumped together here? We've both been attacking? I didn't realize I was under attack. But I don't mind the comparison. What are White's issues? Well, I think you'd be a little naive not to be fine admitting that White has a few issues here, right? Pawn on g4. You could always say that I did this because of something Black did. I did this because of something my opponent did. However, it remains true that this is an issue. Bishop in front of the pawn is kind of an issue. King not castled by move 12, kind of an issue. So White has issues. So what I was going to do here was g5. And then bishop f6. And it's like the queen is almost trapped, but not quite. g5, knight here, take. I mean, bishop f6, queen e8, and queen e6. I'm losing this pawn. I mean, the control of dark squares I have is insane, but unless I'm delivering a mate there, that's not that. I'm not that proud. But hey, I think we're committed here, so. I think we're committed. Feels good to make the queen go there. I don't really like this plan that much, to be honest with you. Lasmaniac, thanks for the 10 subs. Appreciate that, buddy. I don't think this plan is foolproof, but I think it's a pretty good one. Not gonna lie. Knight takes d6 is about to happen. Game's not even close to over. There is an idea to go like this, which is like a pretty nasty mate. But one thing is that whenever my knight gets here, black can play this move, h5, and I haven't been quite able to, I guess, handle it. Bishop looks so damn good, though. Yeah, I think we're between this and just this. I think I'll probably go 95 here. This is the other one to get to g4, but for some reason I really have a hard time believing that. Let's think. 30 more seconds, we need to make a decision. I want to go for this knight here. I think this is a good move. This is a very direct approach, but you know, it also allows knight in here, for example. I think we should be okay with that. Go for it. The nice thing about this bishop is it's very hard to attack. There's not many squares on the chessboard where it can be. Having said A, do we have to say B? So knight here, I guess, knight here. Because remember, it's not quite checkmate. And here there's often pawn takes with a check to take here. So I think there's still some work to do. I'm actually leaning towards this one. I'm leaning towards this one to block this diagonal. I don't like knight g4, knight d4. Then all of a sudden there's some knight f3, like my rook is hanging. Have to be a little careful. Polar Bear ABC, thank you for the 10 subs. And JC Digital Girl, as if 15 wasn't enough. 3 more subs. Okay, knight takes. So now I guess I wanted to go for this. Knight G4. I will tell you one thing. I will tell you one thing, people. This is one of those positions that is just peak temptation. Peak temptation. The things I'm looking at are off the charts. Like, I want to go Queen H5. Knight takes, Knight G4. Queen H5 takes, Knight G4. Knight takes is mate, and pawn takes knight, bishop H7, pawn takes check, king there, rook H6 is mate. Takes, knight there, knight F5 is kind of the disturbing one. After knight F5, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I want to say it works, but I'm not sure I believe myself. I think knight G4 is a proper move. Glory or death? Glory or death? You guys are a bad influence. Knight G4 is... Knight G4 is correct. I would just like it to be on record. That is the correct move. It's your fault. It's all your fault. "14 minutes against 14 seconds, and my queen is hanging." It's very interesting that with 14 minutes on the clock, he like he just took it immediately. Like no, like not even a hesitation. You'd think that maybe some bells and whistles would go off and make you want to calculate just a tad bit here. I guess not. Because of the precarious placement of the queen on e8, it means the rook is stuck, which means the king is stuck, like everything's stuck. After he played knight takes e4 in about 8 seconds, now he will spend 14 minutes calculating his lost position. My opponent has been chatting to me throughout the game. Quite friendly, I would say. Like for all the opponents you could have on chess.com, he was discussing the game. I said, "I'm trying to say your dark squares are a problem, sir." I didn't say it now, I said it earlier. He says, "Yep, especially since that's what I was trying to grab myself. I think I get the material advantage here in a little bit though, but very small." And he was talking about the pawn he was gonna win. And he was right. However, nothing saving you now. The reason that I didn't like the queen sack line, queen h5 is a very attractive move, so I feel confident in it. But as I said, knight g4, 2 blunders. Yeah, queen h5 is probably one of them. Knight g4 is the best move here, and I think it's teetering on winning. Because the only way was, like, if h5, I can go here, and I can take h5. So that's why h5 was never a real issue. Here, and although I can't play this because the queen's hanging, I just move my queen back, and then whatever, I can literally move the knight anywhere. So this will be a mate. Knight f5 is the only way that I could see to guard it. Maybe queen f3 here. Like, basically I want to take, but it's check, which is really, really nasty. Okay, so queen h5 is definitely not good. So I think it has to do with my opponent being able to play knight e7 at the end of the line. So this was the line that I calculated to be unfortunately not good here. Now, what's my follow-up? It has to be knight g4. Because if takes, my idea was bishop takes, and the pawn covers that square. So king here gets mated, and king here gets mated. But after knight here, threatening knight h6 mate, black has only one move on the board, and it's knight f5, and it works because of this check. But still, here, I was going to play knight h6, and I was like, man, this is actually disgusting. It's mate, and how do you stop this checkmate next? And then I was like, man, knight e7 is just gross. Once the knight gets to g6, we have no shot. So that's why queen h5 doesn't work. And what would I love to do in this position? I would love to, let's say here, maybe play bishop takes or something with some idea that, I mean, it still doesn't work because e4 is available, but, you know, he could take this way. But the idea would be something like this, that I could even potentially lose this and still checkmate my opponent. But it's not possible when the pieces can reach the goddamn g6 square. It's like permanently stops everything. Stopping bishop there. But at this point it's silly because black can even play queen d8 and be completely winning. So, not to mention like maybe queen here. But yeah, if my rook could only get here safely, there might still be a mate. But it's like I want to go knight here and give this. It just doesn't work. But he took on e4, which was friendly. Fun move. I would have just played knight g4. The opening was really a disaster for black, though. You just can't play this many light square pawns. Like, your dark squares are just gonna get feasted on. It's very unpleasant. Yeah, honestly, Chess Ninja. That's quite literally almost true there. Well, b3 kind of worked out. That was a fun. We got a fun opening. I'm pretty sure the idea after knight there is definitely e5. You go e5, you hit the knight, and you back it up with bishop b2. Was it brilliant? Well, no, of course it wasn't brilliant. I just went over that. The move doesn't work. You don't get a brilliancy if your move loses but looks good. That's not how it works. Yeah, red brilliancy. Red brilliancy. That's not bad. Not a bad game, Tim. It wasn't exactly E6, but we still got a B3 Sicilian in here. Thought that was pretty good. Let's get another one. Maybe we'll get the white pieces again. Then the Vienna Gambit would be brilliancy. Ugh. Not that garbage opening again. Did he get you too, Gob? Did he get you on it as well? Maybe we can get another E4 B3. Let's see which color we get. Go for another game here. E4. E5. I don't know if I have a B3 Bishop B2 in the shop here. Spanish. Okay, Omer. I'll play a Spanish for you, buddy. Which line do you like to play in the Spanish, Omer? Do you like to play bishop takes knight or keep your bishop? Keep the bishop. Man of culture. B5. So I'll have to remember. I'll try to explain this in the right way, but I'm pretty sure that this move, unless my opponent is about to play like a super topical variation, is going to be a mistake. So let's see. Yeah, something feels wrong about B5. I don't think this is good. Well, how do you follow it up, Lost Moves? B5, Bishop B3. Because there's definitely an opening with Bishop C5. Like, I'm pretty sure that it's called like the Archangel or something. That's a line. But I can say for the most part, under 2000 ELO, most people who are playing B5 assume that they're just playing like regular stuff and they're just like picking the order that they're doing them. But they're actually picking the wrong order. B5 and then just like normal moves. I think this is a little bit too quick. C3 then D4 there, Omer. C3 D4. Uh-huh. So if D4 takes, let's just say takes, queen takes, C5. This is like a really good pattern for people to be familiar with. A lot of people like just rush D4. But if you take everything on D4, black plays C5, and your queen is under attack. So obviously you go queen D5, because you're like, yeah, I'm gonna threaten checkmate and your rook, dude. And then they respond bishop e6, and they guard both of them. You play queen c6 check. They play the bishop back to d7. You're like, okay, I'll go back to d5 to threaten mate, and they play c4, and your bishop gets trapped. So it's a really common way that white loses like immediately. Maybe it's why my opponent played it, I'm not sure. White can still play d4, but after taking, I think you need to castle or play c3 or something. So it's almost like he's trying to sucker us with a few moves here. Can we sucker him? Castle's great, c3 great, D4 takes. D4 takes and then C3. I think D4 C3 is gonna be just fine here, but I'm gonna play Omer's move. We're just gonna chill and play C3. Try to keep it as mainstream as possible. I like D4 though. H3 to prevent bishop G4. Well, let me make sure that you're understanding something, Omer. A lot of people, when they play with white here, they're afraid of this move. It's not something to be afraid of at all. In fact, once you play H3, black has a very uncomfortable decision. Either they move their bishop back here, and why did they waste time going here? Because H3 helps us, right? Or they go bishop H5, and I assume that's what bothers you. But after bishop H5, all white needs to do is knight D2, knight F1, knight G3. Black will either have to take your knight, and you have the light square bishop in the Spanish, which is an insane advantage, or they'll have to play bishop G6, where the bishop's doing literally nothing. And why are these pawns even here as well, if the bishop's not going there? So bishop G4, most of the time, I would classify as a mistake by black. In the Spanish in general, in almost any position. I can tell you that there are a few Spanish positions where bishop G4 gets played, definitely a few. But they usually involve maybe takes and some sort of pressure on D4, which is why you're pinning. But otherwise, no. Bishop G4 in the Spanish is not at all a move you should be concerned about. But Omer, if you reroute your knight to G3, that's great. But what I'm saying is if they play bishop there, attack them first, make them go here, and then when you reroute your knight, you guarantee to get the bishop. Bishop G6, you can often play knight H4 as well. So, play bishop E7. I can only assume knight F6 is next. D4 here? Question mark. D4 looks pretty damn good. Hard to say no to D4. Yeah, bishop D5 right now, nothing special. But I am keeping that in mind, Victor, and it's going to play a part here, I think. So we'll go D4. This is Omer's plan of C3 to D4. We'll wait and see what black wants to do. If knight F6, for example, just remember, your e-pawn's not hanging. It is not hanging. Well, I'd be remiss not to at least stop and think about this move. If bishop d7, knight takes d4, we may pick up some material, but it's sketchy material. It's not, it doesn't feel the best. Also bishop b7, knight takes, queen d7, or knight a5. So, I just wanted to at least check bishop d5. Because bishop d5 also comes with like queen b3 and bishop f7 ideas, but I still don't think it's enough. I'm gonna run into something like here, bishop d7, or bishop b7, queen b3, and knight a5. And if I take, I'm like worried about the king just moving over, and your bishop and queen can be a little sloppy on this this diagonal together. So the safe and simple move is definitely pawn takes here. no question about it. But I'm at least considering the other options. Okay, we'll keep it simple for now. Can only assume this move will happen. Once again, this is never just loses on the spot, so never really concerned about knight e4, not in these positions where they played b5. Okay, takes it, and from everything I know about this opening, you should be lost now. I mean, it's just not an option. Like, you can't play a6 b5 and then also take this pawn. You'll just always lose this bishop d5 move. As I said, I don't have a lot of faith in sub 2000 players playing immediately b5 on move 4 correctly. It's not correct. Like, the move here for black is, let's say, knight f6 and then bishop e7. The b5, it looks like you're just playing the exact same stuff. Like, oh yeah, I've seen this theory before, but it's more tricky than you'd think. But this is a very basic trap in the Ruy Lopez. This is actually one of the main traps in the entire opening. Like, I think you have to know when a pawn can be taken and when it can't be in the Ruy Lopez. That's what's gonna make you a good or bad player in the opening. Knight a5, like, I couldn't tell you why my opponent is so eagerly trading pieces off here. Yeah. I did do a whole video about it, Cthulhu. This trap, I would say, is one step further than that video. The video was basically like, when can you take e4, when can you take e5 type of things. This is like using a tactical motif to justify it, so I would say it's a little bit further. Maybe the next step after that video, but yeah. I didn't like specifically touch on this exact thing. My bad, you know? My bad. Rook e1 is always going to be a fantastic move. Probably knight c3 next. d5, we can just take it, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, my next move will be knight d5. But we're up a piece here, so I don't think we need to... we don't need to overthink things here. Hey Tiger, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, our draft did happen. It was a good one. I mean, bishop f4 looks pretty normal. Let's just develop. Take care, Cthulhu. So if his knight ever wants to get here, I'll just play b3. I think we should have a fairly easy time here. Let's just play queen d3. I might double the rooks or something. Rook c1. h3, you know, basic moves here incoming. Just make an escape square for my king. I mean, h3 is such a good move, but there's also the school of thought that you want the escape square to be opposite of the color of his bishop. Yeah, knight can go here, but to be honest with you guys, I'm up a piece, so I'm not really gonna bat an eye at a trade, which is exactly what I'm getting here. These are things that I don't really have to think twice about. He's only got a pawn for my full knight, so it shouldn't really be a competitive endgame. King g2 will be a nice move as well. Again, trades, yes please. So he's either gonna play h6, at which point maybe the f5 square becomes mine, or he's gonna play g6, at which point maybe I want to play h4, h5. And if he plays h5, then I start to get control of these squares. If he plays f6, well, you see how like he can't start moving every single one of his pawns. That's not how the game works. Okay, looking for this square. Knight e5, definitely a good move. I can't see anything bad about knight e5. Good move, but I really like the idea of leaving my rook wide open on the e-file so that if he ever does something like this, I can happily challenge it. Whereas if I play knight e5, I don't know, he goes like queen c7, rook e8, I might end up in a pin here. Just preference at the end of the day. Queen f5, he actually has to go like queen d8 or something. Not that that's a big problem, but it's forced, which always feels good. So I think I want to just trade the rooks and yeah, maybe just maybe just back to the middle, play the game normally. Yeah, queen f5, queen takes f5, rook e8, jack. Yeah, that's the trick, but takes, maybe knight back to f3 and into e5. That looks simple enough. But we'll do this. Queen d8 is not forced, but almost forced. It'll be played, that's for sure. Rook e7 is doable, but unnecessary. Also, rook takes rook might be better there. Yeah, I'm basically using this moment, Steve, to take a free move. If I trade, the queen goes here, it's my turn. Versus if I go here, the queen moves, I trade, it's my turn, and my queen is moved from d3 to f5 for free. And I was just sitting here thinking, like, is that actually good for me? And I decided it was, which is why I eventually went for it. So yeah, I like the knight on e5, but I didn't want to do it when the rooks hadn't traded yet, so now I think I'll bring it back and go knight e5. If g6, we play queen f6. We get even closer into my opponent's position. g6, queen d7. Yeah. Now, if he leaves the queen hanging, of course I'm taking it no matter what. Literally no matter what he does. Why don't 1700s play this way against you? They do play this way against you. You just don't play this way against them. You ever think about that? We have a full extra piece, so we're doing pretty well here. b4, for example, I'll probably go knight a4 to pop in here, but we could also go back here. Point being, once we do this, if the queen invades, we have this check. Okay, g6, definitely queen f6. So hitting the bishop, if the bishop goes here, then I have an option. Queen f4, gain the tempo. Or queen e5, pin the bishop to the queen, which I kind of like. And queen d7 to guard the bishop, then maybe we can even just play knight e5. Well, I don't think you guys are gonna find me saying no to a queen trade up a piece very often, so just go ahead and get that on the board there. Now, I would say knight e5 is a bit of a mistake here, whether it's takes in c5 or just c5 immediately. Definitely looks like the wrong idea. The absolute best possible place I could imagine knight would be d3 right now. d3. I'm gonna go knight e2. If needed, I'll put my pawn on a light square. Knight f4 is incoming, and also knight c1 to d3. Basically, I want to blockade the pawns, so d3 is the best possible square. They won't be able to move at all. If they do want to move, I think he's probably got to start playing a move like c5 now or pretty soon. g5, it's a nice move. Probably just h3. Pawns on light squares are great against dark square bishop, which is why I'm not really batting an eye. Maybe g4 is a little bit better. But I'm gonna go h3, I think. They all look pretty good. Which is the right kind of good. This or this. Maybe officially the best move might be h4. Because when you're up a piece, you know for a fact, anytime that they trade, it's probably going to be good for you. You can still make smart decisions about how you initiate trades, but for the most part, all trades will be good. I'm gonna go g4. I just think if I'm gonna lose this game, Omer, it's gonna be from like these pawns just ganging up. And if I go knight here, bishop takes, pawn takes, I'm giving my opponent 4 pawns against 2. 4 against 2 for my opponent is not a situation I want to put myself in needlessly. It's still completely winning, like just bring your king over, but I think it'll be a little cleaner to just block these pawns altogether. Have to take. No questions. No questions there. 95 into d3. D3 was kind of my magical square. We could go knight d4, e5. Knight f5, e4. Yeah, we're doing fine there. Yeah, Bram, definitely want to look for trades. Definitely want to look for trades. What are the best kind of trades we can look for here? I'll go 95. I've always wanted my knight on the d3 square, so I'll just go ahead and put it there. King g7, so I guess technically not threatening king f6, which is nice to notice. Knight d3, knight d4. f4 I can say I don't love. Because it keeps these pawns together, but it is a good move. So I'll definitely go here. Knight back to my favorite square, d3. I think it's time for f4. Takes, and I'm not sure that the pawns will really ever be able to move. This is sort of what I was hoping for. Head on d3, just it's kind of no better square for that piece. There's definitely a lot of ways to win, so I don't profess that there's, you know, one way or anything like that. King up. H3 is also on my mind, but yeah, definitely king up. I'm basing this all on the fact that takes, knight takes, you can never push this pawn because of that. So by simply having a knight on f4, none of the pawns can move. If you play d4, you're pretty much resigning, because as soon as black's pawns start to go on dark squares, my knights just go on light squares and the game ends. So like, the king has to guard e6, and you can't play e5, and you shouldn't play d4. The only reason that black has a chance in this endgame is because the pawns are on light squares and the bishop's on a dark square. So we finally reached a position where, unfortunately, black doesn't really have any progress he can make. He needs to completely rearrange his king and bishop. Hello to Dave. In order to move these pawns, the king has to go here and then try to push. I think maybe some move like this kind of allows knight c5. It's like you need to like move the bishop and then get your king over here, but you don't have many good squares for the bishop because they're all covered. Meanwhile, I have useful moves I can play as well, like h4. Because you would think he needs to watch knight c5, so bishop kind of has to go here, but then the king can never get around. So unfortunately, he's made a move which is really bad. I know why he did it. He wants to play e5, but it's completely unacceptable. There's no way that this move can be played. So Yeah, I think h4 is pretty damn good. We have control over e4, so we're not really concerned there. And now I think knight h5 and king e4. Like basically I want king e4, so the reason I'm choosing this is so that my knight can reach f5 to defend h4 all via checks. With king g6 I might go knight g3. Just again, just being mindful of this, but yeah, king e4 no matter what, actually it should be more than enough. If we somehow lost the knight for free, would we be winning here? No. I don't think so. Maybe I could beat my opponent, but that's a different question. King e6, king e4, bishop e7, knight here and knight here will be probably the end of the game. Will losing one of the knights now cost me the game? No, I wouldn't expect that either. I think if I didn't have a knight, it would probably be a draw. What I don't want to allow is I don't want to allow the king here, because then there's ideas to like push these pawns. But as long as I control the light squares, like knight f5, king e4, knight d3, I'm in good shape. On to b3 as well is a nice caretaking move here. I don't see a way out. Even though it was hard to find a move for black, the biggest mistake was definitely d4. It just made the game so much easier for white. But this game has been over for a long time. I mean, you're up a full piece in a rapid game since the opening. You're gonna win most of the time.
Our hearts try to synchronize. They groove with
Yeah, you gotta vibe to the music, Victor. It's all one can do at this point. Big think here. Very important move. My opponent's calculating until the very end of every variation. Exactly, Polar Bear. There must be a way out of this. It has to be there. Wow, a very close game. A very close game. Just to give you guys an idea, you know, obviously White's completely winning here. The valuation is, let's say, plus 4, plus 4.5. Plus 4 is fair. After d4, the eval, like just in one pawn move, immediately shoots to over plus 6. So it's like the move d4 really did kneecap Mr. Brico here. But this was hardly a fight. Yeah, c3, d4. Typical ideas here. He takes. I decide to keep it simple and just take back. Knight f6, castle. But the game just ended here because of knight takes e4, which was ill-advised, to be sure. How would the game have continued had my opponent resisted this? I suppose like this, right? This looks like a normal move. And then at this point, Omer, I probably would have played one of the few ideas you were talking about. Rook e1, h3, right? Again, I don't have to worry about this, so I'm just playing h3 maybe. Here, knight c3. Yeah, and White's position looks normal. Good. I have the center. GG. Hello to Big John John. Always entertaining to read your chats, my dear friend John. If it's entertaining to read your chats and it's entertaining to watch Eric stream, I feel left out. I'm the only one that isn't entertaining. It's really makes me feel sad. This was a nice game. Thanks for the suggestion there, Omer. Thank you, Adam Heartlover. Yes. Appreciate it, brah. $17.83. Okay. I think I'll play a few more slow chess games. I'm just gonna refill my my drink here. I'm gonna take a very short break, but more slow games. Who knows? Maybe we even get to 1800 today, but I'm not sure. These games do take a while. So I'll be back in just a few. More slow chess though. We played a few so far. We got some good games. I'm gonna keep it going today. Today's a slow chess day. BRB. Hello, Gregor. And hello to all the other 700 Elo Sigmas. Hello, Corn. Kilimanjaro, good to see you, buddy. Hello, Salty. It's time for another slow chess game. It is time. Any recommendations, Salty? The only condition is that the opening has to be playable. Can't be +2 out of the opening. Good evening, Eddie. And there goes Salty's repertoire. Salty can't think of a single opening. All right. Let's see here. Got the black pieces. Knight f3. A lot of options, that's for sure. A lot of options. I'll play the most flexible move, knight f6. Tell me a little bit more about what opening you're going for there, bud. Okay, actually d3 tells me a lot. King's Indian attack, ready, kind of stuff. Interesting. What kind of setup are we gonna go for? We can always Fianchetto, yeah, but he's probably gonna do the same thing. I feel like it'll be so symmetrical. I'm gonna go knight c6 with the intention of playing e5. Bishop g5. Huh. I think I'll probably still go e5, honestly. My intuition after this is to play like that. I'm probably gonna play e5 here as well. I know it looks weird to like create the pin, but I always have bishop e7 if needed. G3 means that when I play this move, he will probably take. That's what that means. Because now he can't go backwards. I have h6, g5. h6 is a fine move. I think h5 is, or h6 is okay. Bishop c5, okay. Trying to get something going here with e4. I'm really not sure that that should work, but start with this. h6 is always there, which is why I'm not necessarily rushing, but I think I should have started with h6. This is a little more gimmicky with e4. I definitely don't think that e3 is a good move, but it certainly stops what we're talking about here. Need h6. It's gonna take. Probably fair to appear, yeah. I'm gonna be pretty natural here. I always end up taking more time just because I'm chatting about my moves, but you certainly don't need to copy that. Yeah, trying to be aggressive, Brett. I guess knight c3 by white. Okay. Well, we see the idea. It's d4. However, white is definitely going to be behind in development. Big time here. Probably going to go d5. We could also castle, which is great. But I'd like to be able to play bishop d6 after d4. There is bishop g4, but it'll be met pretty handily with h3. e4. Yeah, I think it's too much, too early. I can go here, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6. Definitely try that. I think I'm gonna castle though. This almost feels like a Caro-Kann, you know? I know this is a bit weird, but when white plays d4, bishop takes, like, that's turning into Caro-Kann stuff. I assume castle, but maybe knight d2? I'm trying to think of other moves that could get played. Okay. I think I am going to do this bishop journey here. h3, and yeah, if you want to chase me to g6, be my guest. I want to bring this rook to d8. Queen b3 does have my eye, but I guess I just can't take it seriously. Like, I'm not gonna sit here being scared of that move. Okay, so 2 pawns being hit. I have an option here. If I play bishop here, give up this pawn, rook d8, I can try to play like that, or I could defend this pawn, let's say bishop e6 or something. Queen takes b7 and then play from there. So, which one do I want to defend? I think this one. The thing about queen takes here is rook b8 and rook takes b2 pretty much looks just as good for me as it does for my opponent, so I would be happy with that trade. My opponent's the one not castled, so I don't really think that queen takes b7 will be an issue. I don't really see a way to open up the center here. E4 and D4 both don't really do that much. So I can use this rook or this rook. This one takes, and then I would move it back, I think, to go after the queen. And then queen c7 loses the queen. But queen a6, and then rook takes b2. This move makes more sense if I assume he's not going to take. And this move makes more sense if I assume he's going to take. What do I think he's going to do? What do you ask for? Words to live by. Words to live by. I'll do this one. I think it's probably better because look, if he doesn't take it, then that's fine. I'll bring my bishop back. Yeah, he's a pawn grabber, definitely gonna take it. I agree. That's why I decided on this rook. He tempers himself, I'll be impressed. But yeah, simply I'm not too concerned about a move like this because he's not castled. I have the whole center. It wouldn't make sense that queen takes b7 was just like a much better position for him here. Wouldn't be fair, put it that way. If my bishop gets attacked now, I may even go back to e6. I'll have to think. You think he's gonna take it, Rose Twig? Now, it's not that I need to defend this because, you know, like, it has to be defended, but it makes the most sense to defend it. So, also, I don't like my bishop here when d4 feels like it's about to happen, so kind of been looking for an excuse to play this move for a while. So yeah, I would like the rooks to be like this, but life's not perfect. The flaw in my position is that my rooks aren't like that. The flaw in his position is that he doesn't have the bishop pair. He's slightly behind in development. He doesn't have the center, and I don't really see a clear plan. So I'll take mine. D4, E4. If C4, probably D4. And if E4, not actually sure, but either D4 or pawn takes, probably sufficient there. It's a little bit awkward. I would say the most awkward part about this is, so I'm going to play it quickly. The most awkward part is that he's going to take this most likely, and he's then going to lose a bishop on top of the rook. Yeah. But I did it quickly because the longer you take, the more time he has to sort of think about the position. But when you're faced with like a really quick move and it looks like a blunder, there's this overwhelming human nature to like overcompensate and like try to pretend like it was completely fine. All part of the plan type of thing, you know? Hey, he can take f7, but that doesn't really do much for him. Remember, his rook is trapped, so delaying it a move won't really change anything. All signs point to him being down a rook here. The move knight a5 has been disrupting queens and bishops on this diagonal for years. Years and years and years. I think he'll play queen c2, Tim. That'll be my prediction. Queen c2, hoping for rook takes knight e4. And also queen c2 kind of sets up c4, b4, c5. I wasn't even 100% sure if I was escaping there. This will be very easy. So even though it looked like I was going to be up a rook, maybe with c4, b4, I could try to do a bit better. Let's take. Again, this is still trapped, so I'm not in a particular rush. c5 here looks overwhelming. Knight c4 is also a good move. Maybe get a trade in before you take the rook. I'm gonna be up a full rook here, but I think I'll do this. Remember, I would rather win a piece than win the exchange here. So any kind of like, I don't know, desperate move like this, I would rather win the knight. I would prefer that. So I'm actually opening the door for him to make a worse move. Rook c8. It's remarkable the amount of chess players that don't understand that winning a piece is better than winning an exchange. Because all they're thinking about in their head is, oh, the piece I'm taking is worth 5. And if I win a piece, that's only worth 3. There's like, suddenly they forget basic math. Okay. This pawn is completely dead. Take with the bishop, I think. I mean, we're up a rook, so it'll be no surprise that at this point we're just cleaning up. Interesting. Knight f3 next, I suppose. Rook here and rook d1. Trading the rooks by force is a very good option. Probably the simplest and will get the resignation from our opponent the quickest. Or so you'd think. Or so you'd think. It's a competitive position, this one. Not even gonna let him have his useless check. More demoralizing to face this move. And finally, a rook, there's still a chance. But a rook and a piece, hell no. That's dead in the water. Yeah, I did queen b3. I think this all made sense. All by the book. Knight d1 was just a mistake. Like, what did I do this game? Not that much. Took the center, took the bishop pair, saved king, habits, every piece out. I had like one minor thing to spend some time thinking about, but then he just blundered. That's really it. And unfortunately, when he blundered immediately right after as well. That was a quick one. Good game. That's right, Venus. Just another one, you know, chalk it up in the books. Just another win. They really do, Tim. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Let's go for another. The beast. E4. Let's play knight F6. E5. Adam Hart Lover. You like an E5, eh? Well, I don't think we've played it, so I don't mind trying it. It's definitely not, it doesn't have the best reputation. There is a line with knight E4, but I'm just gonna play this for now. Bishop b4. Not really sure if it does anything. I don't think I like it. Well, knight on g6 is such a bad piece all the time, so I'm really against putting it there. I'm probably going to put it on c6, as weird as that looks. Maybe this knight can develop to a6 and c5. But knight g6 doesn't look good. I'll put the knight here. I don't know if there was any trickery with like bishop c5 or knight c6 hanging the knight and getting queen h4, but we'll save that for another time. Now we can go here, but I feel like that's like so many pieces that are trying to develop on the king side that maybe I want to put this bishop on g7. Position doesn't look great, but this opening isn't great. And maybe I can go knight e7, knight g8 and start over. And, you know, clean slate. Alright, I'm interested in this, but I'll play the seemingly more normal move. Bishop c5, d6. Having both knights like this is obviously very stupid. Well, I can't help but notice that he's allowing bishop g1, queen h4, but I'm not really sure that that's my battle. I'm not sure that's my battle. Looks kind of suspicious. Yeah, I don't really trust it, to be honest with you. Just gonna play d6. I don't really like bishop g1. It seems like the best case for me is some hyper strange position where I'm up a pawn, but my queen's in the middle of nowhere, and not a fan. I don't mind checking bishop g1 after, but it's one of those positions where the engine plays it a lot better than a human does, for black I mean. Like, you take that pawn, great, but I've played those types of things enough to know that it's very difficult for black. I've done a series where I try to get a bad opening position and teach what to do after. No. That's just me playing blitz regularly. Don't need a series for that one. Knight f3? I mean, I'm only expecting. What else is he gonna do? This was the Budapest, so d4, knight f6, c4, e5. Wow, what a move. He's giving me the e5 square. I would not say that this is supposed to be good. Still, I don't like this at all. He's just gonna go like knight d5, bishop f4, queen f3, like everything comes with tempo. Computer's probably like, it's totally fine, man. But yeah, it's just not, it's not something I'm gonna be doing. But I want my knight on c6. I think we need to get some development flowing. This bishop is not great now. I think we'll move that knight and then get our next knight into c6. And the longer that my opponent leaves this idea here, the more tempting it will become. So for example, I don't know, like this isn't really a move, but bishop e2 or bishop c2, like then you're gonna get me really thinking about it. Next move, knight here. At least my knight situation is figured out, right? We were kind of bumping into one another earlier. Didn't really like it. Okay, keep in mind that although tempting and maybe still interesting, there is a move g3. I can take on d3, so like it could still work. We need to. He's really delaying this this whole thing. As I said, the longer it delays, the better bishop takes g1 becomes, because now I've got my pieces in the right position to take advantage of it. So knight here. Looking at some squares. Knight here. Let's say knight f3, because otherwise I'll just continue to delay this. Knight f3. Take. Queen takes. It's not bad. It's not bad, but I will say that it's getting to the point where his next move is pretty much going to be knight f3 no matter what. Well, it's bishop g1 or knight c6. That's a guarantee. Yeah, the more I look, the more I'm like, you know, I pretty much rolled the dice 2 or 3 times so far. He hasn't played knight f3. If we don't ever take it and play this queen h4 thing, then it seems silly that he could just delay it forever. Knight c6 looks like a great move, but now that I have my knight on e5, I'm feeling a little bit better about this. Takes, check, knight takes, takes. He has to guard this. I don't know. Even bishop e3 looks interesting because I don't know if I'm taking that or not. The problem that I have with that is that I fall so far behind in development that I feel a little uneasy. So I'm gonna play knight c6. Just not a fan of this bishop g1 stuff. Even if it works, not a fan of it. Not a fan of that playstyle. I'm gonna be up a pawn in a very complicated position, and my opponent, like, actually, I'll have 0 pieces developed in that line. My opponent will be like fully mobilized. Yeah, the king is sort of misplaced, but I'm winning the least valuable pawn on the board. The least valuable pawn. And in general, I would advise against things like that, where you're sort of doing like too many side quests. Winning the h-pawn is not really going to change the quality of your position, unless you can trade the queens. If I was able to win the h-pawn and trade the queens, that's something I can get behind, but without a queen trade, I think it's mostly just concerning. Yeah, I would wonder what Yasser would do there. I'm not sure he would take the pawn, to be honest with you. That's the way I look at it, Evil Cooper. It's a great way to summarize it. I'd be trading this bishop for that knight. My bishop's much stronger. I'd be trading this knight for that bishop. My pieces are once again stronger, so I'm bothered on every level. Okay. Well, I'm trading dark square bishops here, so I have to be pretty happy. Do we win material here? I think we do. I think it's just, so let's check our calculation here. So I think we're winning material. I think we're winning material. Does anyone see what I might see? Not quite there, Vimbus. Tim is submitting the most vague answer possible. So basically, if I start by taking this bishop, the queen has to take back. If the bishop takes here, my knight can even retreat and take. So the queen has to take. And then I want to go knight b4 and hit the queen. Queen has to go somewhere. It doesn't really matter where the queen goes because my next move is bishop takes bishop and I have knight c2 coming. So pat yourself on the back if you saw that one. Queen e2, bishop takes e3. Technically, white should be as tricky as possible and play a3 there. Because, you know, if you save the bishop, you lose the knight. But we can take this then, we can take this stupid knight on g1 as a way to give up our bishop, like exchange our bishop, and then just retreat our knight to safety. So, queen's hit. There's only 2 squares to consider moving to. This is obviously not on the cards. And just bishop e3 next. Take care, Boris. Yeah, he can't take it back. That's exactly right. Okay, we gotta save this bishop. Still a small amount of work to do, I'm not gonna lie. you know, you bring the bishop back, you get kicked out. Still a little bit of work to do. Just because our bishop is so bad. And now I have to move my bishop because white's about to play this move. So there really is a threat here. This seems boring, but I think I'm gonna go to the obvious square. Actually, I should think about which way I want to stop him from castling. Because he's about to castle one of those ways. Like if I go here, and he long castles, a little bit annoying. I feel like long castle is more destructive to the position, so maybe this. I actually don't really mind this, to be quite honest with you. The problem, Omer, is A3 is about to happen, so I think we'll probably do this. Bishop should go here, I think. The unorthodox bishop f4. E5 is nonsense. Can't castle. Of course he's gonna castle here. Maybe we can even just stick our bishop right in on E5. Knight back. Our knight really doesn't need to be hanging out here. So yeah, probably knight back. Obviously, any trades would be very welcome here. Any trades. I'm really expecting this. He might go G3. I'll react with bishop E5. What's our answer to E5? Just take it. That's the answer. Maybe go here, but not sure I really like it. This one seems somehow simpler. Knight e5 is really the one that we want to do, though. Like the knight on the e5 square is the best. It's the best square for that piece. Bishop takes knight, I'll do in a heartbeat. I really will. And he knows it too. He knows it. Alright, I'm gonna go b6. Gonna delay our castling momentarily, yes. But to be honest, I think there's some merit to the move c5. Little scary. So much so that he's gone and played this. I get it. Okay, 97 should be more than enough. I don't think taking here does anything. Although maybe it's good. To think about it for a hot second. It actually wasn't that bad. I think there's something to be said about my opponent's position here. 6 takes. We're gonna have to set up like bishop e6, rook g8. If I'm white here, I would trust my gut, just go straight for the pawn push. I almost feel like the more you think here, the more it helps, let's say, the second player calculate. Unfortunately, there's some don't know if that was the one, but there's some pretty tough to dispute moves. F6? I'm really wondering about F6 by him. Last, I mean, maybe he plays it now, but last move F6 when the knight was there, well, that made the most sense. I think we were easily, I mean, based on the time, probably definitely, but based on the board, easily losing there after F6. Just looks so powerful. When he played B4, the weird thing is I only considered him playing C5 because it was the move that I stopped with this. And then he played B5 and took here, and I was like, whoa. That's strong. Our bishop is like, it's just never really been a good piece, but it is an extra piece. Can't tell me it's not. Need to evict my opponent's knight at all costs. Hey, Simster. c5 looks like a fair move, yeah. This one, unfortunately, I feel like it's kind of playing into my hands here. Last couple moves by white are a little... He needed to play f6. He needed to play f6. It was probably good most moves, but I think it was the best when here. I think it was the best when the knight was on d5. That looked like a big moment there. So as long as something goes to the g file and we play king, I don't know, h8, h7, maybe h8. Hard to say actually, but as long as we put the king on the h file, then we won't blunder h6. Yeah, so just need to bring pieces over. I think this one looks fine. Both of these look playable, but I'm guessing this one. And now I think the plan kind of changes from all this defense to basically finally booting this damn knight out. I'm quite sure my opponent was closing in on a KO after f6. Could struggle for a while there, but has to be good for white. Feels good for white. I'd be able to trade pieces, but I don't think it would have helped. Now he's going backwards. Try to boot this knight. Win a piece, spend 30 moves defending. Yeah, that's the lifestyle, isn't it? Looking to take can finally activate at least one piece, queen c5. I'm expecting that he wants to do something over here, but I'm just not seeing the breakthrough. At f6, he really had a moment earlier. And it's not to say he didn't use his time, because he's been using his time pretty effectively this game. Again, that's a good move. Ooh, I don't know about that one though. Yeah, I guess he wants to keep this closed, but that can't be right. Now bishop here, and some knight here, and maybe we could push this pawn, but probably bringing the rook in will make the most sense. Or even this. This comes with a serious threat already. Rook c1, queen takes b5. Taking is doesn't do anything. We can take this guy. Bishop looks like a really nice defender. That's why I'm leaving the bishop on the board. And can we get can we get something here? This looks like it'll win me at least a pawn, right? Really has been fighting really well here. Poor guy. Yeah, like, you have to stay near the rook, so I don't think you can keep these pawns. Queen f3 looks to me like maybe the best move. But yeah, even that, probably bishop h5. You have to stay defending the rook. You can't defend the pawn and the rook from any square on the board, and then once you lose e4, kind of everything falls. That's what sucks. So yeah, this pawn doesn't matter, but once this pawn chain, like white's only thing was this protected pass pawn. Now that it fell, I think the position falls with it, so to speak. Move. Some pressure here, maybe rook c2 coming. I like rook c2. Oh, he's just not gonna get a move off. Dang. So, not a great opening by my opponent. I didn't like the f5 move, but despite the fact that I thought my position was so good on the dark squares here, we hit him with this tactic. We knew we were better, but we also knew it was going to be tricky because our bishop is literally like, it's been trapped the whole game. So b6 and bishop d7, I was only thinking of this. I didn't think of this move at all. But b5 is just very like, I didn't realize this was his plan. So this caught me off guard. We went knight e7, takes. He needed to play f6 here. I don't think that black is lost after f6, but I do think that based on the time and how aggressive f6 is, that you have a great chance to win. Of course, this move is forced. Takes, rook here. This is all kind of forced. Now, you want to take back here. Then, okay, I'll play queen g5 and rook takes. But I think the issue was that I don't have a way to save my piece after this. That's the issue, right? Here, I have no way to get out of the pin without allowing like a lot of pawns to fall. So, very, very sketchy stuff. For example, like I don't really know what's going on here, but I'm not sure that I trust it. It just looks weird. If I take, then rook here and the bishop is back. One back, so. That's what I was expecting from my opponent. I didn't see b5, only looking at c5, which I thought was a good move and that white should have played it, but. This was from the Budapest. Yeah, I've actually never really seen e4, f4 too much, so. I assume knight c6 is the way to play because knight g6 just disgusting. Once g3 happens, I feel like you never ever enjoy these positions. Sadly. So, gotta be knight here, and we went bishop c5. I think we played pretty naturally. But my opponent played really well. We did hit 1800. Like, right on the dot, so couldn't be a better time to leave it for the day. Very nice, very nice. Very nice. We'll take that. 1800, we'll leave it for now. We'll always come back to the slow chess. We got some good games in today. Hey Hella. I'm not going to be going late tonight. Wanted to get some games in for you guys, but I think this is actually a perfect time to leave it for the evening, just because it's such a beautiful number. I was going to maybe take it easy tomorrow night, but I think I'll take it easy tonight instead. Feeling pretty tired after a bouldering session, so I'll take it easy tonight, and I'll be around tomorrow. That's my plan. And Friday, I know there's a spell chess arena, but I'm doing commentary on that day. Yeah, tomorrow there's NFL. I'll be around for NFL stream. It'll be fun. Very excited for NFL. But Friday, I'm doing commentary for chess.com on one of the SEC matches, and then I'll be streaming after that. But I think I'll miss that spell chess arena or whatever, which is, of course, why they scheduled it, because, you know, I'd win the whole thing. Doesn't the sailing only happen at night, Tim? I'm here Thursday and I'm here Friday. That's what I heard. So I'll see you guys then. I'm pretty good at spell chess, yes. Spell chess GM. See you, Nova, Tim, Salty, Cobb, J-Knot. Air tries to sail at all hours. Fair. Always permitted. Have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And then I'll be doing commentary on Friday. Have a good night, everybody. Tomorrow's NFL as well. Excited to see how the drafts go and to get the season started. Bye for now. Have a good night.